I am showing up, doing the brave thing, and I want to report, the brave thing, by the way, is pressing record, and I want to report right now that you can do the thing that you're afraid of doing, and you can also do it with frizzy hair. Here you go.
I mean, you know I ain't lying, 'cause I hate wasting time. You said soon we'll be leaving this place.
Here we are. So I wanted to get on video as much as I didn't want to get on video. And for a while there, the not wanting to do the thing that feels vulnerable and I had a really foggy head about was winning out. And right now it's not winning out because I've pressed record. Let's see if this video finds its way to you. I am focusing on showing up in honor of creating a pathway to you in case this needs to reach you. It's interesting because so much of my work is about practicing creative courage and gumption, and doing so if you are sensitive and if you are doing that thing that's really beyond your comfort zone, it's really at your growth edge, and maybe you've tried it a bunch of times. It takes a lot of courage to show up for the things that you care about. And it especially takes a lot of courage if you feel like you're a novice at that thing, but you care about it so much. And so I'm doing that right now by pressing record. And I hope that if you're watching this, maybe it reminds you of something that you are either actively practicing or that you've been putting off, as I have with this recording situation. I hope that this little video can remind you of whatever it is that you want to do creatively, that you can do it even if you feel like a novice at that thing. Even if you don't have confidence in it, you don't need to be confident to do it, and you also don't need to wait for your fear to dissipate. I have a lot to say on this, but this is not why I am doing the video today, so I can talk about all of those things in another video. If you don't know who I am, also, my name is Maggie. I lead a creative research studio called Regarding Do, where I support sensitive creative thinkers in cultivating their visions and creating a life of beauty and wonder and meaning, because that's what I really care about. So I'll have all of those things listed below if you want to go down the rabbit hole, because there's lots to explore. But let me just say this. I'm doing the freaky thing today. I'm doing it even with, whatever the lighting situation is, whatever the mood and the energy level is, whatever the amount of zits present on the face are, and I'm waving my hand with a little hair tie that I've made into a ring out of fidgeting. We're doing it, right? And I'm doing this because if you are a creative, sensitive thinker, and maybe you know Regarding Do well, and you're like, oh, there's another video, she has another video out. I'm doing this in hopes that it reaches you. And what I'm going to offer this to you in case you're afraid of taking a next step on something or a bold action on something, especially creative. If it's of service in some way, which not everything creative feels like that, or we can relate to that, but a lot of times it can. If you can imagine who you need to reach and try to create a pathway to that person or those people. I'm doing that right now. And it's winning out over my fear that is also present in talking in front of a camera. And what you are not seeing, just to save time, is like all of the outtakes and the tripping up on the words and the da-da-da-da. It's not like a one take and done kind of thing, right? So we have the grace of editing. Creating a path to reach who you want to reach in service of what you are bringing. So you need to believe in what you're bringing, right? And that can take a while, and it can take evidence from people saying, this is really meaningful, I really needed to hear this. This was inspiring, this shifted something for me. We need evidence of this generally, and so it's important not to do things alone. But if you're doing something of service creatively, how can you create those pathways and focus on that path more than your fear? And take your fear alongside you on that path. And I know that it's easier said than done. I've put this off for weeks. But my fear is here right now, so that's why I'm naming it. And also my courage is also present. And service is present. And we need to create these pathways for connection so that our creativity can live out in the world because that's what it wants to do most. Whether or not we can identify how it clearly can be of service or not, our creativity wants to live out in the world. And so what we can do in honor of that, in honor of just trying to trust our creativity and this larger creative impulse, is focusing on the pathways. And you'll find yourself, I think, let me know, or maybe you have, doing things that you never could have imagined that you would be able to do. And you need to become that self through the process of doing it, right? I made videos for about a year, probably 2 years. I'm gonna look back, I'll check on this because I want it to be accurate. I made videos for a really long time and didn't show them to anyone because I was so afraid. And even knowing that it wouldn't be shown to anyone, I would stumble. Okay, and I don't want that to be discouraging about how long that took to get to this point because I'm still in the thick of it. But what I'm trying to say is that you will surprise yourself when you keep on taking those steps forward and when you find people that are with you along the way. So, that's what I have to say about that. I didn't know what I was going to talk about when I pressed record, but I did have some things I wanted to show you and maybe something to read. So what if we do that? Yeah? I want to say a couple things about Regarding Do, whether or not you know about this whole creative studio called Regarding Do. The first thing is that I just released some handmade stuff, handmade goods, very special to me, and talk about creative courage. I mean, it's vulnerable putting your writing out there, but people are going to think what they want to think, right? It's something feels even more vulnerable about someone being able to hold what you've made with your hands. And this is why it's so special to own handmade objects, when you can, I'm looking at a chair in front of me, when you can sit in something that someone made, or wrap yourself in something that someone made, or adorn yourself in something someone made, or eat your food out of a bowl that was made and sculpted by hands. There's the real pathway to connection, right? In owning handmade objects and in having a relationship to our objects in that way, instead of the objects that we own being made by invisible makers that are often heavily exploited. So it's also nerve-wracking to share this part of my creativity. So I want to show it to you on video because I'm already doing the thing that takes courage. I want to show some stuff that is now in the Regarding Do shop. It just launched the other day. Most of what I'm going to show you, pretty much everything, is one of a kind. It's all technically one of a kind because it's handmade, but I don't think I'm doing the styles again in this specific way. So let me stop talking. Let me show you some stuff. The first thing I want to show you is a charm necklace with a vintage Tinkerbell charm. It's on blue hemp. I'm not sure if you can see it. Well, you can see the iridescent red leaf. There's clear photos too on the website. And there's little Tink. This is a dusty purple, that's a fuzzy. This is a dusty purple flower. And it's really beautiful. I'm wearing a necklace that's not in the shop right now. If you want this kind of style, let me know. I usually wear my own jewelry, but I have it always like hidden, because it is vulnerable, right? And I don't know, I want to wear it, but sometimes get shy when people ask about where it's from. So this is, I don't know if you can tell what the color is right now. It's like an ombre, and then it goes into lime green. There's also a photo of this on somewhere, I think on my website. Let me show you what else is in this shop, okay? So I made these crowns a few years ago and then didn't really do anything with them. And that's not true because I made some for animals. There's a couple of cats in Thailand that have these little crowns. But I want to be doing this more and more because it is so much fun to make and they're really special. They're really special to look at and to wear and to give as a gift. And so I make crowns. And let me show you, I have these mini tiaras. Look at this little guy. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? And then here's another one. I don't know if you can see it with this lighting. Here's one for the human-sized head. And I mean, these are mini tiaras, but this one's more of a full size, and for children as well. It's woven like that with beads. I try to use only upcycled things as much as possible and locally bought beads. A lot of what you see in Regarding Do in terms of the handmade objects are upcycled or vintage beads or locally bought from a little shop, as much as I can do that, because that matters. It's cool to buy from Etsy, but also there are generally bead stores in your neighborhood, and sometimes they're not all that fancy. And look at that. I have some old customer that bought one of these that shared with me that they wear this when they clean. So I want to show these to you. These are all one of a kind. If you get this, you will get what I just put on my head, but that's okay. And I also am doing these custom made as well, in case there's colorways or a certain way that you want it to be, either for the little or the large ones. This one's also really funky. This is like a spunky one to me. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Little wonky, cute, whimsical crowns. So I want to show those to you, and I also want to show you a couple more things, but I'm going to talk about some other stuff first. Oh wait, let me show you one thing. This, I did not make this. This is talking about local businesses, because I just went, I try to get groceries at this Chinese market near my house a lot, because that's how I like to eat, and I like to support their business. And they gave, this is made for their business too, as a gift. Gave this, look at this, the Year of the Rabbit. Isn't that so cute? And it goes longer too. It's like a hanging scroll. And look at this rabbit making themselves some tea. Isn't that sweet? I love this. I'm excited to hang this up. They also have their fax number at the bottom. Let me read some of this letter to you, going back to what I started to kind of go on about with creative courage. Let me read this letter to you, all about courage over confidence. And I really hope this doesn't create a weird underlighting on me. Let's see, I'll do it like this. That's fine, right? So I'm just going to read some of this and talk about it, because I could just riff on this, but I've also already written these words out. And so, you know, it's like when you read a great line in a book, why do you paraphrase? Or when you see something in a video, I just like to show people the video, because I'm like, I'm not gonna, if I retell this, it won't go so well. I think some people retell better. Let me just show you the original, yeah? So this is a letter that I wrote through Regarding Do Letters, which is just my Substack. I'll add all of this below. And you can read this in full. It's in the archive. There's lots to explore there. So it's called Confidence is Overrated: The What, Why, and How of Creative Gumption. So you know the word gumption, not the most common word, but something that we're often practicing, and I don't think give ourselves enough credit for actually practicing. Beyond creative gumption, I mean, you could apply that to everything, right? Just the gumption that it takes to show up every single day in the ways that we want to intentionally, and the gumption that it takes to have meaningful conversations, difficult conversations, the gumption that it takes sometimes to show up in the world in the way that feels honest to yourself. The gumption to follow a desire, a creative desire, even when you don't know what's going to happen or if it'll ever work. The gumption to really stay with it and to be devoted to that. So let me share with you about creative gumption. I said this: creative gumption is what we feel when we're practicing boldness, honoring our multifaceted selves, the part of you that is both like extroverted and maybe silly and maybe loud, the kind of what we can call too much. Sometimes that can come up, right? And also the part of yourself that's really sensitive, that's not sure, that maybe has some insecurity, and how these exist within both of us, for a lot of us, right? We have these multifacets and lots of other facets too. Creative gumption is integrating fear instead of outpacing or solving our way out of it, and actively taking the steps to expand joyful expression in our lives. It takes a lot of courage to do that generally. Creative gumption is inspired action, think flow, that simultaneously expands your sense of self. We're practicing creative gumption when we show up to do the things that we know we need to do from a deep inner need, and it takes a dose of self-referenced power, courage, and scrappy, stubborn tenacity. I'm always interested in how we can have that scrappy stubbornness, that pushing through, that staying with it while not necessarily being hard on ourselves, right? How can we have that and also be gentle to ourselves? Because you can be stubborn in your pursuit of something that you really care about, and you can also regard yourself with a lot of compassion. And I think one of the ways to do that is to honor the ways that you're showing up and how it's working for you and how it's not working for you, and knowing that it's workable. Knowing that the patterns that we have, even if they're really entrenched, that are working for us, we can honor those and name those and celebrate those, and all of the ones that aren't working for us are workable, and the difficult moments are workable. And it takes a certain dose of gumption to work with it, right? To show up for it and work with it, to even face it. Creative gumption shares an edge with creative tenacity. You know the place. Probably, I think. It's showing up when it feels like you're yelling into a cave with your whole heart on your sleeve. It's applying again, and this time with a slightly new approach, clarified intention, or expanded sense of inner spaciousness. And I should add, it's not just applying again with these pivots, but it's applying again, and then again, and then again, and then again, and then again. And being kind to yourself in the process. It's putting yourself out there for your visions. I wrote, wear the blue mascara, sign up for the karate class. It's knowing when to rest and forgiving yourself when you push further than you wanted. And I said this, which is true, that I gave up on building confidence a long time ago. And I know that what most people want is to feel confident, right? It makes sense. I mean, I also want to feel confident, but I don't focus on building that anymore. I focus on courage and compassion, and I feel more confident in the process. And I don't always either, but I know how to show up in general, even when I'm not feeling confident. And I guess I just really want to emphasize that you don't have to feel confident to put yourself out there. And you need to be kind to yourself though, right? But they're different things. And yeah, I'm going to keep reading. I said, confidence is overrated and comes and goes, which is true. It's not stable. Whereas when we build courage, it's a competency that we build. It's something that we can leverage and look back on for ourselves. When you're committed to your growth edges in the name of your visions and creative desires, your joy and fulfillment, every new edge brings new fear. And trying to achieve confidence looked a lot like, for myself, fixing, performing, and reaching for a mirage. And now, right now doing this, I am a fiery, wobbly, curious, assured, insecure, masterful novice, and generous practitioner of creative gumption. I don't require myself to be confident or without fear to keep taking pivots, steps, and even leaps. I'm just a woman on a mission. I'm just a woman on a mission, firmly devoted to gumption. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading this right now. If you wanna read the whole thing, it's at regardingdo.substack.com. When we're committed to gumption, we can surprise ourselves so much. And I wanna say this too, that if you're committed to gumption, it's not about you. And so often when we get tripped up, it's because we're like thinking a lot about ourselves, and that's when the insecurity really starts to bubble. And so, for example, if I think about myself when I need to press record, or even when I'm trying to talk in this way or in front of a group or anything like that, when I think about myself is when I start to feel really disoriented and really hot. And when I think about one person that I'm having a conversation with across time and space, or in person, or in a Zoom call or something like that at the same time, that's where my attention is, and ease follows that. And there can be more grace and forgiveness in stumbling and not knowing, and whatever the fear is, looking silly, something that when I get overwhelmed is having a cloudy or frazzled head. There's more room for that to exist because it's not about me. And you can keep showing up when you're doing it for someone else. So let me know if you actively practice creative gumption. Maybe you haven't identified it as that, but let me know below. Or if you can apply this to something that you're doing. How can you bring a sense of spirited initiative, of boldness, and of stubborn, curious tenacity to what you really care about, in service of either who it has to reach or the creative desire itself, really believing in it so much that it's not about you, that you're willing to fail, you're willing to look silly, you're willing to stumble. Let me know if you do that, or if there's something in your life that could use some of that creative gumption, and what happens when you try it on, when you try on creative gumption. I really like that term because it lets me be messy, and I think one of the fastest ways to hold ourselves back from doing the thing we care about is needing to do it really right, or needing to look a certain way while doing it, or whatever the kind of perfectionist tendencies that we have to stay defended. Creative gumption kind of has this kind of step out of the way attitude to me when I think about it. So let me practice some creative gumption right now and show you some more jewelry, okay? So this is a line. Can we call it a line? This is a line of handmade ceramic blossoms that are necklaces that are on wire. So they're much more sculptural than any kind of necklace, a lot more like art than just straight up jewelry. And each of these are one of a kind. Here is this one, isn't that cool? And then I don't know if you can see, but the little seed beads are really glowy. Are the shadows just crazy on this? I think so. Are we okay with that? Yeah. This is another one. Look at that. And it's long. It's longer than well, I would hold it up here. It's like at the sternum. This one at least. I have all of the measurements online. This is at regardingdo.com/shop. This is a honkin' big one. Look at that. Handmade ceramic. These were all locally bought. These I got a long time ago. I don't even know where. And here's the wire. and the magnetic clasp. So it goes like that. And the last one, I don't have this one listed online actually. So if you see this and you love it and you think that's mine, I want that to be my necklace, let me know, because I don't have to list it. It can just be yours. You can write me a message or email me. And I have it, I need to untwist it. There we go. So this is another ceramic blossom. That's the back of it. Okay, there's the front. Ooh, we're kind of doing a pendulum. This one has Dalmatian jasper and jade right there, and it has this and there's little beads too. It's very sweet with copper, and it's on orange hemp. It's on orange hemp that has 2 layers to it like that on each side, and the magnetic closure. So it's really beautiful. Ooh, I don't know if you can see it, but this is some of the stuff. And I also have little earrings, but I think that the lighting is not great right now. And there's also ceramics that are in the shop. I'm not going to go through all of these right now because I'm not going to do that. You can go visit the shop if you want to see if it has sparked your curiosity. These pieces would look fabulous with many outfits that I can imagine. And so if you feel that any of them are yours, check them out. I'm happy to answer questions. And that's what I got. Has this been long enough? It's evening here, and I am going to unwind and rest. I hope that you let yourself rest as well, off screen too. I know that you're watching this on a screen right now, but give some thought to the role of creative gumption in your life and how it can serve you maybe in this season. I hope that you take good care, and see you next time. Bye.
Cause I always leave with love, a new pouch in my pocket, it's a sweet slow dripping in my bicycle.